Welcome once again to 720 and 720. We've kind of hit the jackpot today. We've got, for young coaches, we've got a legend that we're going to be speaking with. He's been to a couple NCAA tournaments, beat Arizona at the head coach at East Tennessee State, came back and won 200 wins with the women's program at Coastal Carolina. He's a Hall of Famer. He really lived for the game. And he studied the game. And so we welcome Alan LeForce from East Tennessee State, from College of Charleston, from Coastal Carolina. Coach LeForce, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I know you're down in Charleston now. Coach, how long, and just for everybody listening, Coach LeForce is like my father, my mentor, my everything. And that's why I got into coaching and was able to get into coaching, and that's because of Alan LeForce, and that's what we're trying to do for you young coaches out there. Coach, how many years did you coach for?
I coached 55 years.
55 years. All right. Now,
Coach, so I'm 78 years old.
Now, you know I'm 52, so you coach 3 more years than I'm old at this moment. That makes me old and makes you a lot older.
Yeah.
So you coached until you were 78 years old.
Right. Coach, so I was 78. I could still be coaching.
I know that. That's why what we're going to do with you today is we're going to take all the stuff that we can help. So this is a very informative and educational podcast. And what we want to do, Coach, is we want to go through looking back on your career. What are the things that you loved? What are the things that you would do different? So let's start with the stuff that if you had to do it again, what would you do different this time?
Well, first of all, John, if you don't love the game and you don't love players, you shouldn't get in this business to begin with. In my day, we made very little money. Today, they make a lot of money. But money was not the reason, and shouldn't be your reason to get into coaching. You need to get into it because the game has been great to you. You want to be great to the game, and you love those players. And not only do you want them to be great players, you want them to be great people after they get out of your program, because hopefully you've helped them and done things for them so they can make a contribution and when they go out in society. So, first of all, you've got to be the boss. You've got to run the show. You've got to know what you want to do, and what you want to do, you start. And as you progress as a coach, and as you stay in the game, each year you'll add or take away from something because of the changing of the game. So things that I did in the beginning, wouldn't work probably as well today. But first of all, I don't care what you're going to do, offensively, defensively, or whatever it may be. You've got to be fundamentally sound. You got to work on those fundamentals every day. Every day, repetition is the greatest teacher. If you're doing it correctly, don't put up with stuff that's not correct. Don't put up with anything that's not correct. And when they're not doing it full blast, don't play them. That's very simple.
Coach, we talked to Alan Stein last week, and he talked about really the basics of the game, being back to the basics, and the basics are not boring, but sometimes they are. But you have to do the basics in order to find success, and that's what you're talking about with your fundamentals.
That's no question. No question. I've had youngsters that come out and say, Coach, let's not work on that. I mean, that's taking something away from my game. And I said, young man, if you had a game, we might not have to work on it. So you've got to do that over and over and over. And when they get bored with it, and assistant coaches get bored, saying, Coach, you kill us. That lets me know that I'm getting it done what I want to do. With that, back in those days, there's no 3-point line, no shot clock, closely guarded 3 seconds violations, no 3 foul shots, a lot more things. The game, and every year I was in the game 7 or 8 decades, it would change, and normally a lot of the change would come. I remember when John Wooden won all those championships, he was pressing full court with a 2-2-1, and so everybody did that. And normally, whatever the college champion won, whatever he was doing, most of the people would sort of pick up on that and want to do that. So don't be afraid to change things in your program, but be sound, and don't just every day change something because you think it's good. You can confuse your people by overcoaching. So don't overcoach it. Don't do that. Some things that I would change. I look back on it. I would work hard. We would be fundamentally sound, and I wouldn't put up with anything. That's the way I think you got to be. Today. You got to be more positive. See, I was back in the old days. As old time coaches, we were negative a lot of times. I'd take a time out, and because some guy had screwed up during that minute or two before I get to time out, and I'd spend my whole time out chewing on him. Well, that didn't help. What I should have done is either took him out or got him when he first got there and say, "Hey, don't do that. You're blah blah blah," and then be positive. Tell him what we need to do when we go back. But I was not that type of guy. I would seem like want to stay on that all the time, which is not good, because today youngsters, they're bigger, faster. They're quicker. They're just everything. But I'm not sure about their mental and physical toughness. So you got to be careful. You need to talk more, I think, about things that they do well rather than things that they don't do well. See, I would dwell on things they don't do well. Try to get them to do well. I don't think that's good coaching today. I think you need to cut down on practice. A 3.5, 4 hour practice back in those days was okay. Everybody did that. But today with the NCAA rules, we can have youngsters about almost 10 months a year doing something, and you got to cut down on your practice. I would never practice more than an hour and 20 minutes. I would never stay in a drill teaching more than anywhere from 4 to 10 minutes.
All right, hold on. Well, Coach, you just said, listen, this is John Schulman you're talking to. I was your assistant for many years. How long, tell me honestly, how long would you have a college practice to keep their attention in October? How long would you practice for?
Oh, probably 3.5. Okay,
nowadays, if you had to do it again, how long would you practice now?
I would practice 145, hopefully 145, but never over 2 hours.
Never over 2 hours. Okay, well,
you got to remember. Go ahead.
Here's what I and it's a problem now with college, with the college is they're giving them more time. And everybody wants more time, and everybody wants more access to their players. So you have more time in the summer to practice. You have more time in August and September and October. Well, by the time you start the season, everybody's hurt and everybody's tired. So what would you tell those college coaches when you get more time and then you don't use more time? How could you use your time more wisely there?
Well, I like that we can have them often. We can have our players in the summer, used to, in the spring and summer. In the old days, you couldn't have that. And so I don't mind that, but here's what we got to do. We've got to be sensible enough as coaches. Remember, basketball needs to be fun. It needs to be fun. And you got to have fresh legs and fresh minds to have fun. And to overdo that, I remember October 15th used to be the starting date. Boy, everybody was fired up. We had those Midnight Madness things, and it was just a great time. And now we don't have that anymore because we're practicing, about all the time. or doing something, individual or whatever may occur. We're working at it, and that's fine. But we got to be careful and not overkill. Don't destroy the game. I think that NCAA wants to do everything to help youngsters and make them better players and better people, and I'm for that. But we got to be careful and still when season starts that they're ready and they're looking forward to it and it's fun. It's not okay. Let's go out and get this over with. Like if you just kill them day in and day out by working them too long and making the game needs to be fun. The practices need to be fun. You need to have a little fun with this, even in practice. You got to have days where it's a little lighter than others, and that's always that. I was not like that, but if I were going over, I'd want to change that. I'd want to make practices fun. I've heard people say that this guy's a player. And when the game starts, he's really a player, but he's not very good in practice. He's a gamer. I don't believe that. I believe he's lazy. So you got to work. You got to work, and you got to be careful. Back in the older days, back in the beginning, and even up until a long time ago, we never thought we wanted to have fresh legs, but we thought if they were in shape, it didn't make any difference how long we practiced. Their legs and their mind would be good, which that was wrong. I know the high schools, they're really, really. You guys that are in high school coaching, you're really strapped now. You got to get all your work done about the summertime, and I think the AUs are good, but you've got to have time to teach those youngsters the fundamentals of basketball. The passing, the shooting, the dribbling, all of that. Because once you get into school starts and it's basketball time, you got the girls JV, the girls varsity, the boys JV, the boys varsity, and you don't have much time. So you've got to get your fundamentals. Most of those, try to get those down in the summer, and your techniques offensively and defensively, then you can work more on in the offensive schemes and defensive scheme once you get the season. Before you get into the season, because of your time limits, you got to do that.
Coach, let me ask you this. You told me this, and I started doing it. I had a black book. The title of the black book was "When I Become a Head Coach, I Will Do This." And you taught me and told me that every day I should prepare to be a head coach. And when I become a head coach, that you better have thoughts and ideas. Talk to me about that. You remember telling me about that. You prepared every day. I remember all your notebooks. Talk to us about that.
John, I still do that. I write pads every day. I love the game of basketball. I love to watch it. I love to watch the different techniques and the different angles and all of this. And the game today is become a dribble drive or becoming a passing game. In the old days, we could never stay in the corner. You caught one of your players standing in the corner, you chew him out. Now that's one of the better shots. So the game, listen, you got to work at the game. And if you love the game, it's not work. That's not work. I made a vow. I said every day I'm going to at least put 1 hour into the game of thinking about different aspects of basketball. Well, what that evolved, you started, it goes 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And I don't, maybe you have to be eat up with, I don't know. It's part of my life. It's something I loved. And one of the loves was the people that were involved in it. Let me just tell you a couple of things here that I would do that would help. Number one, one night a week, if I had it to do over, I'd have a date night where me and my wife would go out, or me and my family. If I have a family, I call it family night. One night a week. I mean, you can plan that a week ahead of time, and nothing interferes with that. Let me tell you, without a good family, without a wife and a good family, my friend, your coaching career might be short, because we're the most selfish people in the world. We think we can outsmart, we can outcoach, we can do outwork, all this. Well, everybody has this. We're not doing that. You can't do that. You can try, but you can't do that. So take care of your family. Be with them. And some other things I was thinking I would do, if there's an old coach in your area, like me, I'm here in Charleston, and all three of the coaches, I know them very well. In fact, one of them was my GA at one time, Charleston Southern, the Citadel, and I coached at College Charleston. So those guys have me to come and watch practice, and they say, 6 hours or 8 hours, or whatever, are better than 2 or 4 or whatever. And they always come and talk to me. And that makes the old guy, 83-year-old, feel good. And if I was in a university that had a curriculum for handicapped youngsters, I'd have one of those guys as one of my managers. We had that at Coastal, and you can't believe how much that helped our players and how much it helped that youngster and how great that I felt about it. So, there's more. This game teaches us a lot of things, and we need to work, love it, and demand the best out of it from our youngsters. But also, we got to help other people, and I think by helping older coaches, people that are a little handicapped, I think that's good. And then another thing I would do, once or twice a month after we get started, I would not go to practice. I would have one of my assistant coaches to be in charge of practice. He's in charge that whole day. He makes out the practice plan, the times, and so forth and so on, and he handles it as if he were the head coach. Well, you say, well, what does that do? Well, first of all, we're in this business not only to help our players become better people and go out in the world, we're also in this business to help our assistant coaches become head coaches if that's what they want to do. And by doing this, see, that's giving them a lot of confidence. And then also, it's given a lot of the youngsters going to say, goodness, if Coach lets him does, he must, So they become more confident with the assistant coach because they believe he's good too. So I would do that. I think that would be very important. Another thing, John, I know you'll like to hear this. You need an agent, man. You need to get an agent. I didn't have an agent. I was too stupid. All I'd want to do is coach. But I had not several, but 2 or 3 opportunities to move on from East Tennessee. But I loved East Tennessee. I loved coaching there. But see, if I'd had an agent, then he could have negotiated and got me more money. And I'm saying, well, I never coached for money, but a little money raised here or there doesn't hurt you. I'll tell you that right now.
What coaches need, the coaches that aren't self-promoters like you were a basketball coach. You're an X and O guy. You didn't care about all the other mess. You didn't care about the schedule. You would play anybody, anytime. You didn't care about that. Those are the coaches that need representation. Those are the coaches that need agents to help them because they don't really give a rip about helping themselves. So you would have absolutely, you needed some help. You needed an agent. Let me get back to this, the date night. I know you well, and I know myself well. We would schedule a date night, and then if we just lost 2 in a row, we would cancel that date night. All right, and then we'd get back to work. That's when you really need a date night. You need the date night or a family night when things are going bad, not when things are going good. And so I remember I tried to at Chattanooga have a family night on every Tuesday night or every Monday night. We were going to have all of our families come out there to the basketball court, get there 15 minutes before practice ends, let the players see our families, let them hang out afterwards, let them shoot, let them hang out, get some pizza, and we can all just hang out and play ball and relax. That's what you need to do. That's what coaches need to do. During the middle of the season in February, when you're exhausted, you need to have your family in there. And the kids need to see you as a dad instead of just as a coach.
There's no question, John. And you younger guys today, younger coaches just do so many things better than we did when we were beginning. You know, you guys are way ahead of the game. You know, you got every kind of material to look at, film to look at. We had nothing like that. You know, nothing. But not only that, I see guys with their families. I see young men going home and spending time at home with their families. And that's, you know, that is something that makes this profession great, I think, is having good people in it. And there's no question what you guys did with having those people come. That's a great thing to do. And if I were a youngster, I'd be doing things like that. Another thing along that line, or not along that line, but guys, you just need one shooting coach in your program. Don't get 2 or 3 shooting coaches. No shooting coach teaches the same way. One guy's talk about his elbow, one guy will talk about his follow through, one guy will be harping on squaring up and all this. And all that does, in my opinion, is to screw kids up. Have one shooting coach that is good, and he handles it all. He handles it all. And you can have a big man's coach, you know, back to basket coach. Back to basket's about gone out anymore. It's about, you know, open spreading the floor and go 5 out. But I think we can overdo on that shooting by having too many coaches.
I agree, and I also let me throw something in there about in the post. To me, you're not going to catch the ball. You may catch the ball 5 or 6 times in the post now, back to the basket. No one ever throws it in there. But if they do throw it in there, have a very simple rule. Stole this from Bob McKillop and Davidson. You don't need to work on 58 moves and have 78 different moves. You're only going to catch the ball in there 6 times. So what we started doing is as soon as you catch the ball, get to the middle. You know, get to the tape, the midpoint of the lane. Get to the tape. Yep. All right, that allows you to see the floor, get to the tape, and then work on a lefty jump hook and a righty jump hook. If they take that away, drop step and shoot you a layup.
Exactly.
You need 2 moves. Right. You need 2 moves. That's it. The 2 moves: righty jump hook, drop step left, and the lefty jump hook, drop step right. You don't need 78 moves. You don't need to spend time 78 moves.
No, it's wasting time. You're right. Here was our rule, John. When the pass is made to you at the post, your first obligation is to catch the ball. Catch the ball, locate the defense, and explode to the basket. That was, that's what we worked on. Every person has a favorite move, no question. Okay, what are you going to do when they take that favorite move away from you? And that's what we talked about, and that's what we worked on. But John, the back to basket's about gone. They've got all those 3-point shooters now.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this: the last thing. You were worried that you couldn't talk for 12 minutes. We're way past.
I'm not even started.
Well, let me just tell you this: we're going to do it again. Let me ask you this: practice. I was too drill oriented. But my mentor, a guy named Alan LeForce, was too drill oriented. All right, and that's what I did. Drills in practice or playing in practice, or a better balance. Tell me.
Well, here, John. Here's what I did. I was a defensive guy, so we worked on defense probably 60, 65, 70% of the time of our practices. You can't just drill them. So what I would do is every drill, particularly on a team situation, you're working half court. One team's defense, one team's offense. When the defense gets the ball, you have a transition. The team's on offense goes to transition defense, and then we get down there and we do the same thing and come back. I think you need to change the court sides to go down and back about everything on all your offenses, and not just stay at the half court and work on it, or stay at a drill for 20 minutes when you need to be doing some team stuff. And I overdid that, no question on that. And so it's important. It's important, and we can go through a lot of things, but it's important. Like in a passing game, for an example, you remember this, John? We were at East Tennessee. We were one of the best basketball teams in the country. Why? Two things we could do. We could shoot it and play defense. And, boy, if you could do those two things, you're going to win a lot of games.
Coach,
First year we were 28-5 and lost our 6'11" center who was a potential All-American.
The game may change, but that hasn't changed. So that was in 1990, which is a long time ago.
Yeah.
In the year 2018, if you can shoot it and you can defend, you're still going to win a lot of games. So the game has changed, but not really. Coach, the last thing, go through your list real quick. Go through your list real quick and list the goods and the bads that you had to talk about.
Oh, Lord. All right. I never ran on boxing out. I never called it defensive drill. We never called we're going to box out. We called it offensive drill, not defense. Because here's what happens. You call it defense, the guy goes out and boxes out a person, they just stand. So we just call it offensive rebounding. When they go out and box out, that offense better go get the ball. But don't we all? It's got to the point now, John. Every drill you run, you got to have a winner and loser, and they got to pay a price. That's just the way it is. I was taught, got to get your best player the ball when you need it to get it to him. You either by clearing the floor or by running some set. You need to have some kind of offense or some set or some play to get him the ball. During the game, you have one coach watch two players, another coach watch two players. I always watch the point guards. Let's see. We talked about full court. I think you got to have your offense and defense to mesh. If you want to be a half court person, run sets, then I think you need to be a half court defense. If you're gonna want a fast break with the basketball, I think you got to be a press. You can't change that mindset. Once they get in that go set, you got to go. Once they get in that strength set, half court, then that's the way it's going to be. So I think they've got to mesh. I think that's very, very important to me. Let's see. Working team on offense, defense, we talked about that. We spent a lot of times, I need to spend more time late in the game on the shot clock. When it gets down to 4 to 6 minutes, we did this with the ladies. The last 4 or 6 minutes of the game, we had a stoplight series. If we're in green, we're playing. If we're in yellow, we run our offense, but only shoot layups and foul shots. If we're in red, we only shoot free throws.
We did. I think that's great. Also, just to hit on that point a little bit, I think in a practice, I think you could end practice every day with a 2-minute game. With a 2-minute game,
gotta do more, right?
score tied, 84-84, play a 2-minute game because we make up situations for our team. All right. But very few times does that just happen like that. I think if you put it at tie game every single day, something new would come up. And so you would play that out and then talk about it every single day. And so I think all kinds, if you did it 45 straight days, you'd have 45 different scenarios. And that's a lot better than just doing one scenario down 2 with 4 seconds to go. That's gonna happen. I think I probably need to coach again, Coach, because I think I'm a lot smarter now than I used to be.
Well, you're going to get an opportunity.
I'll take you as my assistant. We'll just come back to be the old guys. Coaching. Hey, Coach, we have run out of time. I'm just getting started. I don't know if I helped you or not. No, let me just tell you this: we're going to do it again.
Right.
But absolutely, you can help young guys, and that's what us old guys are for, to help the young guys and the young coaches. But thanks so much for your time this morning. Really appreciate it, and we'll do it again here soon. Got it,
John? I appreciate you, and I'm very proud of you. All the things you've done. I love this game, and I love to talk this game. I coach men for 39 years and women for 16. So I know about women and I know about men. But let me leave you with this thought. Winning makes men happy. Happy women win. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
Coach, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.